Many consider it to be the worst in all of college football. But don't sleep on the Conference USA, which will still offer its fair share of talent and excitement in 2019. Welcome back to the Gridiron Expert, bringing you some of the best college football news, predictions, and analysis. And today we are bringing you our 2019 Conference USA predictions recap. This is our third Group of 5 conference recap, leading all the way up to the end of our prediction season, which will be capped off with our college football playoff and New Year's 6 bowl game predictions. And today we'll start over here in the Western Division of the Conference USA. And if you can look, there is a new sheriff in town in this Western Division. We have Southern Miss winning the West instead of UAB, the reigning Conference USA champions. And we'll get over here to the Blazers here in a second, but we got to talk about what Jay Hopson has done with this Golden Eagles program. He has 3 straight winning seasons at Southern Miss, and he's looking to make it 4 straight with the Golden Eagles and finally capturing a Conference USA title. And he's going to do it, if he can, behind their powerful passing game led by Jack Abraham, the junior quarterback that completed 73% of his passes in 2018. And luckily for him, he returns his top 5 wide receivers from last season, so expect this offense that returns 10 starters in all to be very potent in the Conference USA this season. The defense, though, you cannot forget about them. They returned 6 starters as well from a unit that just allowed 19.8 points per game in 2018. Those numbers could be even better in 2019. And they get to host North Texas and UAB this season. I like Southern Miss to win the West, even though they have a worse record than the guys that we have in at number 2 in Louisiana Tech. You can see that the Bulldogs have a 9-3 overall record compared to Southern Miss's 8-4. But the Golden Eagles own a 7-1 conference record, while the Bulldogs have a 6-2 conference record, and that is why we had them coming in at number 2 in the West. Skip Holtz, you cannot overlook everything that he has done with this Bulldogs program, winning at least 7 games the past 5 seasons with Louisiana Tech. They get key home games against Florida International, Southern Miss, and North Texas. So this Bulldogs team is very capable of winning this Western Division. But their defense, I think, is going to be their downfall. They allowed just 23 points per game last year, which is not bad by any means. But it's going to take a bit of a step back in 2019 after losing so many starters from last season, including Jalen Ferguson, the all-time career leader in sacks in NCAA history, making history last year in their Hawaii Bowl victory over the Rainbow Warriors. I think Skip Holtz once again continued his streak of at least 7 win seasons with a 9-3 record and a chance at 10 wins. I just don't think they have enough to beat Southern Miss and get over that hump and win the Western Division. Coming in at number 3, we have UAB, sitting at 8-4, 5-3, the reigning Conference USA champions. And that is unbelievable, considering that the Blazers did not have a football program in 2015 and 2016. But since they were reinstated back in 2017, they are 19-8, have made 2 bowl appearances, including an 11-3 record last season and their first bowl win in school history. Bill Clark is doing a phenomenal job with the Blazers, and if he does go 8-4 and wins their bowl game, and even if he doesn't, I can almost guarantee that he will be coaching somewhere else in 2020. The job that he has done under the circumstances UAB has been dealt these past few years has been unbelievable. Their offense is going to be maybe even better than they were last year. Tyler Johnston stepping in at quarterback, and Spencer Brown, already the number 3 all-time leading rusher in UAB history, could even break that record in Week 1, just a little less than 300 yards away from being the all-time leading rusher in UAB history. Expect the Blazers to be a tough out for any team once again in 2019, but coming in at number 3 in the conference with 5-3 record in the Conference USA. Coming in at 4th is North Texas, sitting at 7-5, 5-3, and this team is a team you cannot overlook at all just because of their quarterback in Mason Fine, who threw for over 3,700 yards last year, 27 touchdowns, and just 5 interceptions. He is already the number 1 all-time leading passer in North Texas history. He's just going to add to those stats and make that record that more unattainable for any future quarterback for the Mean Green. So Mason Fine obviously going to be the key for the Mean Green this season. They do have tough games, though, on the road against Southern Miss and on the road against Louisiana Tech. A couple other Power 5 opponents sprinkled in there, including a tough Group of 5 opponent against Houston. We had North Texas coming in at 7-5, 5-3 in the Conference USA, but still a very good year for the Mean Green, a chance at an 8-win season. And as you can see in the West, you can draw a fine line there between the contenders and the guys that will not be even close to being contenders in 2019. Southern Miss, Louisiana Tech, UAB, North Texas all can contend for the number 1 spot in the West. Texas San Antonio, UTEP, and Rice cannot in 2019. And we'll start here with Texas San Antonio, who we have just going 3-9 on the year. This is a team that should improve in 2019. Absolutely. I mean, this is a team that if the ball goes their way, they get a few plays to go their way, could be borderline bowl eligible. We just don't see the ball going that way. We don't see the plays being made for the Roadrunners in 2019, especially not with such a difficult schedule. We still have them winning 2 games in the conference, but still not enough to reach bowl eligibility. Right below them, we have UTEP, and you can't help but feel bad for UTEP, who has struggled mightily the past few seasons, including a 1-11 season last year and an 0-12 season just 2 years ago. Well, we have them improving steadily, once again, going 2-10 in 2019, including a win in conference play, sitting at 1-7. They'll be led by quarterback Kai Locksley, the son of Maryland head coach Mike Locksley, and if his play improves and he ends up surprising some people, maybe UTEP can win 3 or 4 games, but probably not going to go bowling in 2019. And right below them, we have Rice. Not much to say about the Owls. Have them going a shocking 0-12 and 0-8 in conference play. Now, most people would disagree with that, but a couple years ago, we had UTEP going 0-12, and that's exactly what happened. The Owls do not face an FCS opponent, and not to write off that FCS opponent, but that would more than likely be a win for Rice. They don't get that benefit this year. They went 2-11 last year. They have games against Army, Wake Forest, Texas, Baylor, Louisiana Tech, and UAB on top of everybody else in the Conference USA they have to face. The schedule's too tough. We don't see Rice winning a single game this season. We'll come over to the East, where things will get a little more interesting between a 3-team race, I feel like, maybe even 4, and Marshall, Florida Atlantic, Florida International, and then Middle Tennessee State. And we'll start with Marshall, who we do in fact have winning the East, a team that went 9-4 last year, and Doc Holliday continuing to do a phenomenal job with the Thundering Herd. They returned 8 offensive starters in 2019, including Conference USA Freshman Player of the Year and Isaiah Green at quarterback. And if his numbers can improve in 2019, he was a Player of the Year last year for freshmen. If his players improve on that, his numbers improve on that, Marshall's going to be a tough out for anybody this season. They return 6 starters defensively, but lose their top 3 tacklers and have a very rough start to the season with games on the road against Boise State and Middle Tennessee, and then, of course, facing off against Ohio out of the MAC and Cincinnati out of the American Athletic. It'll be a rough start. They'll finish strong. We have them finishing 7-1 in Conference USA play and winning this Eastern Division. Right below them, we have Florida Atlantic, a team led by Lane Kiffin as head coach, and a team that I think many had kind of locked in as that kind of lock to win the East in 2019 had they gotten quarterback DeAndre Francois. For months, we thought he was transferring to Florida Atlantic, leaving Florida State, going to play for Lane Kiffin and the Owls. And then all of a sudden, just a few weeks ago, we find out that he will not be going to Florida Atlantic. He will be transferring to Hampton out of the FCS. And we originally had Florida Atlantic winning this Eastern Division, but when we found out that Francois would not be coming to play under Kiffin, we had to go through and change a few things. But still, we have the Owls going 7-5, 6-2 in conference play. Not too bad considering they had a disappointing 5-7 season last year after going 11-3 just 2 years ago. I do have faith in Lane Kiffin. Just because they lose Francois doesn't mean their season is shot, but their title hopes in the East, I think, are shot. We have Marshall coming in at first, Atlantic coming in at number 2. Coming in at number 3, we have Florida International sitting also at 7-5, 5-3 in conference play. And you have to praise the job that Butch Davis has done with the Panthers, going 17-9 in his 2 seasons with Florida International, including going to 2 bowl games after going to no bowl games since 2011. So a phenomenal job that he is doing with this program. 8 returning starters offensively, 8 returning starters defensively, and this offense has the opportunity, has the chance to be one of the best in all of the Conference USA, returning one of the better quarterbacks in all of the conference, and quarterback James Morgan, who set the Florida International single-season record with 26 touchdowns last year, and Napoleon Maxwell at running back. The defense was their best since 2014, allowing just 25.2 points per game last year, has the chance to be even better in 2019. I would almost go as far to say that I might later pick Florida International over Florida Atlantic for that number 2 spot. We're sticking with the Owls right now, but don't be surprised if the Panthers make a run for that number 2 spot, and maybe, if they can pull off a few upsets, make a run for the East Crown in 2019. Middle Tennessee coming in at number 4, 6-6, 5-3 in conference play, so a tie there with Florida International when it comes to conference play. But Middle Tennessee has a major shoe to fill, and that is replacing their all-time leading passer in Brent Stockstill, the son of the head coach of the Blue Raiders, and Rick Stockstill. Last year, the Blue Raiders had to face off against 3 SEC teams. Of course, this all resulted in losses. Not that big a deal. Middle Tennessee still went bowling. But this year, they're going to have to face an even difficult schedule with games against Michigan, Duke, Iowa, and then road games against North Texas and Florida Atlantic. I do not like the odds for Middle Tennessee in those games at all. And I like Rick Stockstill, phenomenal coach. They're going to start off, they're going to struggle. Right off the bat, they're going to struggle. But like we've seen in years past, under his regime, under his helm, under his leadership at Middle Tennessee, they will finish strong. I think they will get to bowl eligibility. The question will be, will they get invited to the postseason? Coming in at 5th, we have Old Dominion sitting at 5-7, 3-5 in Conference USA play. And kind of the same thing over here in the West. You can kind of draw a line of contenders and then those that will not be contenders in 2019. You drew the line here with North Texas, and I think you draw the line here with Middle Tennessee. And the remaining 3 teams, I think, are guys that are still in the rebuilding process and still a ways away from really competing for a spot in the Conference USA championship game. And we'll start here with Old Dominion coming out of the East, a team that won 10 games back in 2016, but have only won 9 games since. And that's just really unfortunate for the Monarchs. And things looked like things were going to be trending up. They had an 0-3 start last year, but pulled off one of the biggest upsets of the season, beating Virginia Tech as a 27-point underdog. So they're 0-3, they pull off that massive upset, and then they lose their next 3. They finished the season strong. I think they finished 4-8 in 2018. And of course, breaking in a new quarterback, their strength is going to be the run game and the defense with 5 returning starters there. Not many, but going to be a better strength in that offense in 2019. Old Dominion going through not a major rebuilding year, but still a little bit of a rebuilding year, going 5-7, 3-5 in conference play. But as you can see, just one upset away from getting to 6-6 and hoping to get invited to the postseason. Our final 2 coming in, Charlotte and Western Kentucky. Charlotte dealing with a brand new head coach in Will Healy, the second youngest head coach in all of college football at 33 years old. And the 49ers went 5-7 last year and had 2 games decided by 1 possession. They win one of those, they're going bowling. They just couldn't get the job done. They're going to be led by their running back in Benny LeMay, who is 2,046 yards from being the all-time leading rusher in Charlotte history. He's sitting at number 3 right now on the all-time list. Don't think he's going to be able to get there, but could very well make a spot for the number 2. The defense, despite going 5-7, despite not having the best team, only allowed 26.6 points per game. So that defense could be the strength this year for the 49ers. But with some pieces they've got to replace, with a brand new head coach, I don't like Charlotte to improve on that 5-7 record. Don't have them making a bowl game. But if they can pull off an upset, much like they could have done last year, maybe they can get 5 or maybe crack bowl eligibility with 6 wins. And then finally, Western Kentucky, 3-9, also dealing with a brand new head coaching situation, and Tyson Helton, the brother of Clay Helton, the head coach over at USC. This is a team that some people have as a surprise pick because of the experience that they return. 10 offensive starters, 6 defensive starters. I'm not buying it. I've got them at 9-3, winning 2 conference games, but sitting at 9-3 or 3-9 right now. I just don't see the Hilltoppers making a push with a brand new head coach and an offense that only averaged 21.1 points per game last year. Just don't see them making a run towards the East title, but not even a bowl game in 2019. I just don't see it happening in year 1 under Tyson Helton. Maybe next year is the year the Hilltoppers can finally break through, get back to their winning ways, and make a bowl game. But Western Kentucky coming in last in the East. And as you can see, as we discussed, we've got Southern Miss coming out of the West, facing off against Marshall coming out of the East in the Conference USA Championship game. And when you look at these two schools, there's an opportunity here for a major shootout. Two very talented quarterbacks in Isaiah Green coming out of Marshall and Jack Abraham coming out of Southern Miss. But in the end, it comes down to one, who owns that edge at quarterback, and number two, who owns that edge defensively. And the answer is Southern Miss owns the edge at both of those things. They own the defensive edge, no doubt, and Abraham, in my opinion, still owns the edge over Isaiah Green at quarterback. Abraham, more experienced, sitting there as a junior, obviously more accurate, completing 73% of his passes. Jay Hopson, in his 4th year with the Golden Eagles, will capture a Conference USA title, will finish 9-4 going into the postseason, and a chance at a 10-win season for the Golden Eagles out of Hattiesburg. So guys, thank you for watching us here on YouTube. Make sure to go follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Gridiron Expert. And of course, go check out our official website, thegridironexpert.com. Sign up for our newsletter and sign up for our expert picks. For just $30, you will receive every single one of our 2019 college football spread picks, including the postseason. And I can promise you that's a deal you do not want to pass up. So join our team, sign up today only at thegridironexpert.com. And once again, thank you for watching us here on YouTube. Please continue to like, comment, and subscribe. And we will see you next time on The Gridiron Expert.